Ooh, it says the stream's unstable. What does that mean? Average stream bitrate too high. Alright, I'll have to adjust that later. Hopefully you guys are seeing it okay. Hopefully. Hopefully. Should we transition over? I think we should. Alright, look, double checking this time. Double checking this time. I'm turning this music down just a tad bit. Microphone's on. It's a good check to do. First thing. We've had problems with that apparently. I'm talking away. It's brilliant. All of you would laugh. I'm hilarious. And then I realized you couldn't hear it. Couldn't hear it. Didn't do that this time though. Excited to have this stream tonight. We missed the last one to say, which was yesterday. But we missed the one before that because I had some stuff I had to get done. So we kind of skipped that one. And then we were going to have it this Wednesday, but then that didn't really work because I had some stuff I had to get done. And you see the pattern? See the pattern here? There's a pattern. It's not a great pattern, but hopefully that pattern will be over soon. So you know what? We said, hey, we're going to roll with it because we're adaptable, if anything, here, right? On the 4, 5, 6 stream, right? So we decided, okay, Whiskey Wednesday out. We're not going to make Wednesday. But you know what we're going to do? Thirsty Thursday. That's right. Everything's still themed Whiskey Wednesday. Ignore that. Just where it says Wednesday, think Thursday. Problem solved. Problem solved. I'm going to down some of this coffee, but we're going to open up the drink. We're going to open up the drink. What are you guys drinking this evening? Hopefully something good. I'm trying to get some of the energy going. I've been burning, the candle at both ends, as they say, where staying up till like 3 a.m. and then getting up at 7 and repeating the cycle. It's editing season. That's what season it is, and I'm trying to get through it so I can start my next audiobook. I'm having a lot of fun editing, even though it's pretty time consuming. It's a thing, and I vastly underestimated the amount of time that it would take me to edit this piece. About every hour is taking me about 3 hours to edit, which is not great when there's 25 of them hours worth of audio to edit. It's been crazy. So, and then, life happens and I've been interrupted here and there. And then I got like a little bit of a cold and I wasn't able to do some of my pickups. So that kind of stopped me from doing editing, blah, 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 right? But that's what I've been doing. I've been under the rock of editing audiobooks. That's where I've been. Where have you been? Where have you been? Where have you been? I've missed you all and your beautiful online chatty faces, as it were. So if you're joining me, thank you again for joining me here for our Thirsty Thursday Whiskey Wednesday, really Whiskey Wednesday, but on a Thursday stream. Let's get into covering some of the important parts. What are we drinking this evening? Well, it's a little repeat because it's that good, and it's the holiday season. So we should have a little holiday drink. That's right, from Holiday. That's what we're drinking. Not sponsored, but if you want to, I'm open. That's what I'm saying. I'm open. But we're drinking some Holiday soft red wheat, bottled in Bond, Missouri straight bourbon whiskey, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Pretty smooth up front, but then has that nice bourbon burn that you come to enjoy, right? What are you guys drinking this evening? Water? Hot cocoa? Bourbon? Whiskey scotch? Gin? You a juniper lover? Gin, maybe? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let's give a nice good pour there. Be liberal with the spirits this evening. We need that pickup, right? And, most professional voice actors and audiobook narrators would tell you the best thing to drink when narrating in your booth or doing some voice acting is a harsh alcohol. Actually, they probably wouldn't say that, but you know what? Rules are there to be broken, right? Am I right? Well, they are this evening. Oh, that's good. I've missed it. I purposely haven't touched any of this, by the way, because I wanted to save it and share it with y'all. And it's so good. I missed it. So what are we doing this evening? Good question. Glad you asked. We're going to be doing lots of stuff this evening. I think this is going to be kind of a longer stream. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. If I hit a wall here in a couple hours, maybe it won't be as long as I'm planning. But I'm planning on doing a multiple hour stream tonight, and not all of it will be narration. I'm thinking about trying out introducing some voice acting onto the channel. I know I've done, I think, a little bit of lines for a particular audio drama, but which I think actually I might have more lines due. I'll have to double check on that. So I might have some more of those here actually soon. But by way of introducing kind of the gaming aspect from Twitch, incorporating that, because, I mean, you know, hey, it's a gaming aspect. If you're watching here on YouTube, hello. I probably won't include this part on the Twitch live stream portion of it, but I'll probably make it available as a VOD later on. So if you're interested in this next portion, which is doing a little bit of voice acting and really improv, if you think about it, through GTA Online RP. I have a buddy here that's a moderator in the channel and a good friend of mine who might be joining me as well. So hopefully we're doing a little bit of voice acting in GTA RP, bringing that gaming element in there tonight. We're gonna try it out. It'll be a little test run, and then if it's good or if I can stay awake, maybe we'll do some tomorrow. Hearthside Gaming, how's it going, buddy? I have been under a rock, so if you've been streaming, I'm sorry. I've probably missed your streams. But I am in the tail end of editing my 25-hour long sci-fi piece, and I was just saying at the beginning of the stream, I vastly underestimated the amount of time that would take me. It's taking me about 3 hours to every hour of audio. But I don't have that many left, so it's crunch time getting out to the end because I need to start my next book. Because after this next book, I have 2 more, and then after those 2, I have 1 more, and then somebody just sent me an email the other day. It's like, oh, please audition for this 10-book series. So I'm going to be busy. Which is a good thing. I'll take it. I will take it. So don't get me wrong. I'm loving it. This is happening. Got to practice my southern accent. Oh, we're doing it. No, we're going to do GTA RP, I think, tonight. Just jump in and we can do whatever. But I do want to get into maybe some Red Dead Redemption RP, which you're going to need that Western accent. You're going to break that out. And you can make it wherever you want, but you need to practice that. Or just my already beautiful voice, aka Johnny Dent, speaking for me. Yes, I'll fill you all in on what he's talking about. Inside joke there for a bit. But my albino friend it will be more apparent when we jump into the game later. Arsaid Gaming says, gotta edit it tomorrow. Ooh, editing is so much fun. I'm thinking seriously though for my next couple of books, and I don't know, at least one of them, because the next 3 that I have lined up are royalty share, but the one after that is PFH, paid per finished hour. I'm thinking about paying an editor for that one so that I can just roll into the next part, into the next book right after that, which will save me a significant amount of time. So at least on that one, since doing PFH, we do the half of the payment up front, I'll have the money to pay the editor, and therefore I can maximize my time. But it's hard for me to justify right now paying an editor for royalty share when probably not going to make anything off of those. Maybe. I mean, I hope that I do, and I'm going to try my best to help the rights holders, the author, market and advertise and get out there and start doing virtual book tours and those kinds of things. But it's I don't know, it's always a gamble with those, right? But right now in my career, I don't really care. Right now it's about getting enough books out there to build that portfolio, get that resume built up, right? Look, I can do this, and here's the books that I've done. They're on Audible. Go check them out, right? Because I only have 4 up there right now. I need more, right? So just cranking those out and getting them done. So is it worth it to pay for the editing just in that respect, and just get it done and use my time for recording because that's more efficient, and just, go with it? Think of it as an investment, maybe. I don't know. So is your final audio P&R? I know a good editor who edits P&R. Punch and roll. Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. My final audio is punch and roll. I have to make some adjustments in the booth. I'm going to be actually ordering a vocal booth here from Studio Bricks soon, so that'll help me too in some respects. But I've noticed going through and editing my own stuff that I have a little bit of a latency. So when I hear what's being said, it's almost a full half second behind what's actually happening. So when I go to punch back in, there's way too much of a delay, and I'm having to go in now, and every time I've punched and rolled, I'm having to shrink that time up and make it right. And I can't hand that to an editor, right? And it annoys the shit out of me. I know it annoys the shit out of them. So I've got to fix that discrepancy so that doesn't happen, right? I've even tried the trick where you're having the playback where you're hearing yourself talk for an extended period of time, and then I narrate along with it and then just resume, and that's where it's most obvious. Like there's a big gap between what I'm hearing and what's actually going on. So I've got to figure out that, and I think I know a way to do it. The discrepancy may be because I'm using a wireless headset into the computer through a pretty significantly long microphone cable, which probably wouldn't add too much delay to it. But then that is going into another piece of software. So I think cut out that software, right? I use Voice Meter Potato to split up some of my audio channels to handle leveling for me, because it makes it more comfortable for sound effects editing and games and stuff too, because I can limit it and add compression, all that kind of fun stuff. But I think if I cut that software out, go directly into a little DAC that I have, this little bad boy, little FiO that I've had for years just laying here. If I plug my headphones directly into this and this directly into USB-C, which is a pretty darn fast connection, I think I can eliminate that latency. Because I've tried messing around with the buffer size too, and when I decrease the buffer size to improve the latency, I get crackling, and I can't tell if that's being recorded or if I'm just hearing it. And that ends up having me go back and play it over to make sure that it's in just the headset problem, or is it actually being recorded? Because I had that problem once. My interface was going out, which was not cool. Technical jargon, yay for everybody watching. Hopefully you're enthralled by this issue I'm having, but I've got to improve that first before I feel comfortable giving my audio to somebody to edit, right? Hearthstone Gaming says, dude, of course you can. I mean, still fix it, but like, isn't that exactly what you're paying for? I mean, yeah. True. I feel bad, right? Like, I don't know why. Like, I have this problem, and I know I'm going to face this problem in the future too, where, because I've just recently experienced it, that link that you sent me to submit to be on the roster, they're like, hey, wave, don't edit it at all, just, punch and roll it, but that's it. Don't denoise it or whatever. I was like, oh, this is bad. I don't want to do this. So I know I'm going to just have to get over that. That's the way it is, right? That's the way it is. But yeah, you're right. You're right. I should just do it. Get over my issues, right? Just get over it. Do it. By the way, they already rejected my application, but that's good. It's kind of a good thing, because most things that like I've applied for outside of maybe 20, 30 auditions here or there, I've gotten pretty lucky. Like, oh yeah. So I need that rejection to kind of keep me humble. You know what I mean? And if I can get the rejections out of the way now, when I apply for the big boys, maybe it'll be an acceptance. You never know, right? It's a good thing. I'm trying to stay positive. Oh, they rejected yours too? Okay, it makes me feel better. Like, I'm sorry. That sucks, dude. But I'm so glad you got rejected is what I'm saying. Because I got rejected too. We're in the rejected boys club. That's how we do. When I run into interstate or taxing my PC, I get the same latency issue. No, okay, yeah. I run my audio through studio speakers, but it actually picks up my audio and is a big problem. Yeah, I have to be so careful. Yeah, if you're doing an external speaker thing. They did take a friend of mine, though. Oh, okay, cool. So maybe it's just us. You know? I think you're on to something. We're just, we're so good that they didn't want the other people on the roster to feel bad about, like, the skill level difference. That's definitely not it. That's... I wish that was the case. That's not it. You know? It's actually, you know, going into submitting for that roster, I thought my chances were pretty slim anyways. So, but it was cool. It was actually kind of cool to like see, I'm sure not every, you know, place does it, but it was kind of cool to see the process of like, what can I expect that they'd want, right? I just so happened to have just recently done my demos as part of going through the audiobook coaching courses through Sean Pratt. So I had demo files ready that were non-altered. So that's something to keep in mind too. I guess I didn't think about it. I just assumed that most rosters would want a demo that's already polished. Not the case. And for a very good reason that they outlined on your submission. Like they want to know what they're working with. What does your raw environment sound like so they can be prepared to hand stuff off to their engineers, right? If there's an extreme problem, they want to know up front, right? Because you can mask a lot of that stuff with the really awesome tools that are out there nowadays, RX, and even, you know, some of the built-in stuff from more of the DAWs now, right? Like Adobe Audition noise. Denoiser is actually pretty good, the standard one. I use the Isotopes RX because it's way better, but the Adobe one's not bad. So, and other DAWs that I've used, their stuff's pretty good, and they're just getting better. So it was good practice and caused me to get some material together. Yeah, exactly. I did too, actually, but it does make sense. Yeah, Tantor asked for the same thing. Oh, Tantor asked for the same thing. Okay. You're on with Tantor, though, right? Because I think the last one you were reading was for Tantor, wasn't it? I want to say. My memory's terrible. But yeah, I think you're already on with Tantor, which would be super, super cool. I have another person that I met through the ACX Facebook page that's a part of Tantor too. And it's really cool that just, you know, the whole idea of that, where somebody just comes to you and goes, hey, do these, right? I mean, they might have you audition for it as well, but hey, we already know you here. That would be amazing. It takes that whole like hunting it down aspect out of it. Although recently I haven't had that problem because I think there's a key there. Refresh your demos on ACX every once in a while, because as soon as I refreshed my demos, people are emailing me, and out of the thousands of people that are on there, why did they pick me out? And I think it's only because I just updated my demos. So maybe it like rises to the top, and there's probably some built-in thing that filters that out a little bit. So if like you submitted your demo every day, it probably wouldn't, you know, I'd probably cancel that effect out. But ever so often, it's probably a good idea to update them anyways. So and I am, yes, okay, part of Tantor. Exercise Genesis, yeah, there we go. I got that check from them today, as a matter of fact. Drinks on me. Hey, there we go. It's always nice to get paid, isn't it? that's the best part of it, I would say. I mean, narrating it is fun and all, and editing can be cool, but getting paid is even better. You know what I mean? Arset Gaming, you're exactly right. You're top of the list. Yeah, that has to be it. There's no other reason for that. Because out of the thousands of people that are there, there's some serious talent on there. So why the hell would they pick me out, right? That doesn't make sense. So it would have to be that you're at the top. I wonder if it's worth doing like every 6 months or something, like going through, creating yourself another sample, another demo, and then just putting a new one on there, you know, or updating an old one, you know. For me, I know every 6 months to every year, I know I'm going to be getting better, right? Hopefully it's only up from here, but so I'll need to update those probably constantly. So that might be a thing. 2, I will do royalty share on my profile, which I know a lot of people are not doing for obvious reasons, so that may help too. Although I'm getting enough stuff sent to me at the moment, I'm going to take that off. give myself a little breathing room here, because I don't know how I'm going to get it all done, to be honest. But yeah, that might be as well. But good food for thought. I don't know, just some stuff I've been thinking about this week while, listening to myself over and over and over again. Say the wrong thing multiple times, and then re-recording it and having a plane fly by or a train go by, or the neighbor's kids decide to play basketball, which is great. I'm glad they're being active and healthy, but, could you not do it while I'm trying to record pickups? I mean, that would be helpful, kids. Whatever. Anyways, so tonight, like I said, eventually, we're going to be getting into some Christmas stories. They're all public domain Christmas stories, but they're some of my favorites. I like these particular stories. One is a story that is very famous, and you will recognize it. And I used to read it to my son when he was little. And maybe I'll force him to listen to it again, because he's 12 now, and he knows things, right? Those teenage years, you know what I mean? So just to make him sit with Dad and spend some time while read him a story. I don't know. And he probably won't sit still for that, but we'll see. It is wild how loud a bouncing basketball is. As a kid, you have no idea. Right? I mean, because you're playing the game, you don't care, right? But put a microphone on in the other room, and it's deafening. It's actually like right outside my window too, is their little portable hoop. So it is so loud. It is so loud. But that's fine. I usually don't record during the day because of that problem. But I was trying to like maximize time, right? I'm like, I gotta get these done. So I just stop, go make a tea, come back, maybe pour whiskey. I don't do that, but make a tea, want to drink the whiskey, and then start over later. It's not that big of a deal. It's just frustrating in the moment. So the stories, what are we reading tonight? I'm going to read a couple here. We have The Gift of the Magi by O. Henry. I really like this story. I think that one's probably the longest one that we'll read tonight. And all of these are pretty short, but this is about 2,000-ish words, so a couple pages, not very long. Then, Twas the Night Before Christmas by Clement, Clarke, Moore. That's the famous one I was talking about, a very famous one. And then a cute little tale called Christmas Every Day, that's almost in a way dark. You'll see what I mean, by William Dean Howells. And then a story that's barely a Christmas story, but it's set during Christmas, so it counts, right? It's kind of like, it's like Die Hard. Die Hard's the best Christmas movie ever. And if you don't agree, I'll fight you, right? The Elves and the Shoemaker by the Brothers Grimm. We'll be reading as well, which I like those tales. I don't know what order. We're just going to throw one up, and whatever comes up on my screen is what we're going to read first. Maybe we'll do Christmas Every Day, actually. I'll just make a decision, and we'll read that. I'm trying out tonight a new widget that will tell us audibly with a sound effect, so I'll know if I'm in the middle of reading, and on the screen that an ad is coming and how long they are going for, so I can tell visually that an ad is there. And if it doesn't work, then it's because I tried to set it up 10 minutes before stream. But hey, I'm trying something out, so we'll see. Centurion, how's it going? Thank you for joining the stream. Are you streaming tonight? I don't know if you're streaming tonight. And it's telling me an ad break starts here in a second, in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So we'll see. We'll test it before we move actually over to the booth, and we'll see if this works before we start reading. And then we'll get a good half hour reading in before it bothers us again, right? Hate ads. You guys hate ads? I hate ads. That's why I used to like podcasting, right? Because podcasting, when it first started, was like radio programs that you could listen to. No ads, no commercials, right? None of that annoying radio stuff that they use to pay the bills. And now it's turned into that, right? There's that. Most podcasts nowadays try to put it at the beginning or the end. They don't try to put it in the middle, depending on what show it is. but it's still there. It's just I know it's money. How do you get it? How are you gonna make money? I get it. It's a necessary evil. I get it, but I don't have to like it, right? Oh, no stream tonight. Okay, all right. Yeah, I was just saying beforehand that I have missed a ton of everybody's streams. I've been under a rock because I've been editing this audiobook, and I vastly underestimated the amount of time that it would take me by a lot, by like 2 times the amount. But it's almost done, so I can return to life in a second, maybe. We'll see. I don't know. But anyways, that's what I've been doing. I know you've been running the hunting things, so hopefully that's going good. I check into the Discord every once in a while just to see what everybody's doing and see the trophies and stuff being passed around, but haven't gotten to watch lately, which sucks. I like watching your stream. I miss it, buddy. I miss you. I'll be lurking, good sir. Have a lot going on here at the moment. No worries. Totally understand. Take care of stuff. And it's holiday season, right? Everybody's got family coming. I have family coming Saturday, which I keep trying to say is tomorrow because wishful thinking and keep thinking it's Friday today. It's not. It's Thirsty Thursday, right? 37 seconds for an ad break. Let's see what happens. It should pop up. Give us a sound effect and go. If I did everything right. We'll see. Suspense for 20 seconds. The stories will leave you in suspense. Anybody remember that show? It's an OTR show. Old school radio. Old radio theater, if you will. I think it was literally called Suspense. Used to listen to a lot of that as a kid, like the reruns of it. All right, should start now. There should be an ad. No, I don't think I got it. No. No. I don't see the ad thing going, though. That's interesting. Huh. Our side says, not yet. Not yet. Wait for it. Not yet. Hold. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it just didn't start. I don't know. Leatherman Audio. Hey, how's it going? Glad to catch you live. Yeah. Thanks for joining in. We're going to be reading some Christmas stories tonight. Mr. Oh, I take 1 week off and I forget how to do all of this. Oh, you just got the ad. Okay, there we go. Hey, it did pop up. I didn't hear the sound effect though. That's fine though, but the widget's working. If you look in the top part of the screen up there. And I'll wait till he comes back. But Hearthside, I need to shout you out. How do I do that again? Yeah, shout out. That's how do I do that? I don't know. I've been gone for too long. All right, don't blame me. I wonder if the timer is just off in here because this says done in 40 seconds. 35, and then the ad timer is saying that there's ad 2 of 3 with 1 second countdown. Oh, and then 30 seconds. Okay, that might be right. Okay. So for some reason it's not playing the sound effect. So I probably just borked that up. But it looks like the overlay is working. So at least it'll give me a visual indication. Oh, that's going to be hard to see on my phone though. Working this stuff out live, right? One stream at a time. Figuring out how to best do this. Yeah. All right, it should be over in about 3 seconds, and then we'll return to the actual stream, and then I'll continue doing what I was talking about before. All right, and you're back. There you go. So the timing did work. It's just the sound effect didn't go off. That alerts me that there's an ad so that I stop reading so that you guys can listen. All right, anyways, what I was going to say before is quick shout out to Hearthside Gaming, who is a fellow audiobook narrator, and tonight we have another audiobook narrator. Look at that, Mr. Leatherman Audio there. And he is fantastic. Both are fantastic. You should check out their streams here on Twitch when they're doing their streams as well. Both of them are very much way more experienced than I am. So if you want to see it done, what's the right better? Check them out. Anyways, we're going to be reading some Christmas stories tonight, so I'm going to go hop over into the booth since we just got done with those ads, and hopefully I catch it. And if I don't, just let me know, and I'll change it. So let's hop over into the booth and get some reading on, shall we? Hopefully it's all configured over there. Probably not, but I'll see you there. Oh, into the booth. Did it work? I think it worked. All right. Yeah. I'm excited to be narrating again after a full week off of streaming. Man, Harside says we're really stacked up in here. We are. It's the, the Whiskey Wednesday stream on Thursday, because I couldn't do it on Wednesday, that brings all the narrators together. It's kind of like the milkshake. It brings all the boys to the yard. It's like Whiskey Wednesday brings all the narrators to the... I'll stop. Okay. Moving on. And let's get out the mouse. Oh, and I forgot my iPad over in there. But, oh well. We'll roll without it. I can read chat just barely. On there. So, I might be a little slow because I got to squint because these don't magnify enough, you know what I mean? Leatherman says, what's up, Har? Dropped you a follow, man. Sweet. Share the follows around. There we go. Sync up and do mutual raids. That would be cool. Yeah, if we could set up like schedule somehow where it was like, passing it off from one narrator to the next or whatever. That'd be really cool if we could work something out like that. That'd be awesome. Tried to stream in the afternoon and morning as well. Cool. Those damn concurrent viewers. Yeah, I know. You got to get the 3 concurrent for like 30 days, I think it was, which a lot more difficult than it sounds, right? Although I will say that as soon as they opened up this new category of writing and reading, it's been a lot better because the opportunity to network is way easier now that I can find other readers and writers. Which, I mean, hey, that goes hand in hand, right? You got to have somebody write the stuff that you're reading. So I try to keep up on as many of those streams as I can too. And network a little bit with the authors that are on here as well. So, yeah, it'd be kind of cool to maybe even do, because there's a thing I've been thinking about. Hear me out, guys, my fellow audiobook narrators. There's a thing that you can do where you can like tandem stream. And normally, like how I've seen it on Twitch is, playing games. You're playing a game with somebody else, you can see their screen, and then it's basically shared as like a browser source is how it works. So they share their webcam usually is what it is. And then that gets overlaid with your webcam over your game, and then on their channel, vice versa, right? So you can kind of do a tandem thing. But if you could do like a tandem, like I know you, Leatherman Audio, you do a lot of like duo stuff. If there was a way to do like a live duo recording, you were both on Twitch, that would be awesome. Because no place else have I seen that, at least on Twitch. I don't think anybody's done that yet. I could be wrong, but I doubt it's happened, at least in that respect. But anyways, food for thought. Just something I was looking at the other day because I'm like, oh, that's cool. How could I use that? Like if you're doing like a duo thing and like a duet or something, be kind of fun. Most of my viewers still come from my other socials. Yeah. Twitch is kind of like that, I think, just in general. Even if you're like a gamer, like having your other social media stuff brings them into this, right? And probably the same with like YouTube, but it's probably a different mixed bag. But yeah, it's cool we have a place here. Absolutely. It's really cool that they started it because I think there was a game that was called like Just Reading or something, which is I think what we were using before. I've done live duet over Zoom, but we were paid more for those chapters since I have to sit there while she narrated. Oh, okay. Yeah, that is another consideration I don't think of either. There'd be some logistics to figure out, that's for sure. Harsad said we could do something on Discord as well sometime. Oh, okay, yeah. done that with another horror narrator. He put together some stories and we alternated reading them. They were quite short. Oh, okay. Oh, that would be kind of cool. Doing like a horror thing. Yeah. Or just like a themed thing. I do a couple of, usually I do 1, sometimes 2 a month for the otherstories.net, and they're a short horror themed podcast, short story horror themed podcast. How do words work? You know what I mean. That'd be kind of cool. Oh, there's so many things. My mind is buzzing. Let's get the mouth buzzing though on the story, shall we? Let me uncover this though, because we got to get that going. Let's reset the flub counter. Yeah. Because we know there's going to be mistakes, right? All right, reset the flub counter to 0, and let's give ourselves 1 to start off with, because I'm going to mess up. It's just how it is. And if you would like to play along, I know moderator in the channel here, Who's, if he's still around, likes to turn it into a drinking game. And after one of these streams, I don't know, frankly, how he's alive, because it happens a lot. I wouldn't recommend turning it into a drinking game, but hey, teach their own. Here we go. So this first one is called Christmas Every Day by William Dean Howells. And if I could find my mouse, that'd be really nice. There we go. It is a cute little story. And I think it's kind of, in a way, it kind of turns dark in the middle. You'll see what I mean, but we'll just get into it. Here we go. Let me catch up on chat just before we jump in. Because the time of the booth and not having to record time, so for live duet stuff, the entirety of the chapter is paid for both of us. Oh, okay. Did not know that. If you do another stream pre-Christmas, I'd be happy to read with you. Okay. You compiled a lot of stories for tonight. I did. They're all short, though. They're all short stories. So let's take a swig of our drink and get into it. Let's start her up. All right. Christmas Every Day by William Dean Howells. A little girl came into her papa's study, as she always did Saturday morning before breakfast, and asked for a story. He tried to beg off that morning, for he was very busy, but she would not let him. "Why, Papa?" she said. I haven't had a story for ever so long." "Well, what do you want a story about?" "About Christmas. It's getting to be the season." "Well," her papa roused himself from his writing by a great effort. "Then I'll tell you about the little girl that wanted it Christmas every day in the year. How would you like that?" "First rate," said the little girl, and she nestled into a comfortable shape in his lap, ready for listening. Let me turn off the music. There we go, because it's distracting the heck out of me. Sorry. I still need to figure out how to route that around there, but back to it. Very well, then. This little girl was one of the most energetic little things you ever saw, and she wanted it Christmas every day in the year. And when it came Christmas, she began to spend her wishes for it. Christmas every day in the year, as children do to the Christmas fairy. She kept on sending them up until the Christmas fairy was fairly tired of hearing her name. "Now, Papa," said the little girl warningly, "you're beginning to make it all up." "Well, will you believe it was the real Christmas fairy then?" "If you make believe it very hard, perhaps I will." "Very well, then. This little girl was one of the most energetic little things you ever saw, and she wanted it Christmas every day in the year." Hold up, that's the exact same paragraph as above. I think that got copied in here by mistake. I'm going to skip that. It's literally the same. Unless he meant to say it over again? I think that's a copy and paste error. Hold on. Skipping ahead. Then Papa rubbed his chin and looked at her mother. "You know, there's something strange about Christmas Day. If you don't use it on Christmas Day, you lose it altogether." Well, when Christmas morning came, the children all came running downstairs to see what they had got, and the Christmas fairy was there, smiling like the dawn of a whole millennium of Christmas days. The little girl looked up at the Christmas fairy and said,
I knew you would make it Christmas every day if I wished long enough." "Yes," said the fairy, "and I want to see how you like it. You've got your wish, little girl, and from this morning you are going to have Christmas every day in the year." The little girl was delighted, of course. She opened all her presents, and then she went to see how the other children liked it. They all had presents too. They said, "This is the best thing that ever happened. We are going to have Christmas every day in the year." After the Christmas dinner that day, the little girl felt so good she could hardly stir. But the next morning, when another Christmas came with more presents to open and more turkey and plum pudding to eat, things began to seem a little too much. The second Christmas dinner wasn't quite as nice as the first, and the children said, "Oh, there's so much candy, I feel sick." By the time the third Christmas came, things had grown pretty grim. The little girl tried to feel happy and eat her candy, but she was tired of it. And when she said to the Christmas fairy, the fairy only smiled. "But I wanted Christmas every day," cried the little girl. "You have it," said the fairy, "and you're going to keep on having it. Christmas isn't something you can just stop because you're tired of it. You wanted it every day, and now you're going to have it." The days passed, and Christmas came day after day. Soon the shops were all sold out of toys, and the turkeys were gone, and the plum pudding was a thing of the past. People were so tired of presents that they just left them unopened under the tree, and the children began to cry when they saw the candy. The little girl begged the Christmas fairy to take her wish back, but the fairy said, "You asked for Christmas every day, and you shall have it." Finally, after what seemed like years and years of Christmas, the little girl woke up one morning, and there was no Christmas tree downstairs, no presents, and no turkey dinner waiting for her. "What happened?" she cried. "It's all over," said the Christmas fairy, or said the fairy. "And now you can enjoy Christmas when it really comes again next year." And from that day on, the little girl was the happiest child in the world, because she knew how special Christmas really was. And that is the end of Christmas Every Day by William Dean Howells. And I think that the older style, writing and language really is like perfect for this story, because in my mind it makes it like darker, right? Where the Christmas fairy comes in and he's like, "No, you said you wanted Christmas every day, and now you're gonna have it, little girl," and kind of turns dark, right? But obviously it's the tale of like, hey, appreciate Christmas because it comes once a year and it's special. That's what makes it special, is because it's once a year. Obviously that's the message, right? But I thought it was a fun, cute little story. And to me, it kind of turns dark, and I find it funny. I don't know. Anyway, it's like if your parents catch you smoking and force you to smoke an entire pack all at once. Right? I can neither confirm nor deny if that has ever happened to me. Maybe it has. It's not good. It's not good. Wouldn't recommend it. Wouldn't recommend it. Did that stop me from smoking? Hell no. Taught me nothing. It just taught me how to sneak better. Just putting that out there. I don't know what that says about them or me or what, but that's what happens. Let's jump into the next story here. Let's do a little poem, maybe. Let's do the "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," also known as A Visit from St. Nicholas. It's a little story I used to read my son when he was little, and we used to do the Elf on the Shelf, and so I've probably read this thing quite a few times, which means I will butcher the crap out of it, so be prepared. If it's your favorite story, tune out now. It's not going to get better. Let's add another flub there. At least two, because I think I messed up a couple times. You can help keep me accountable by exclamation point flub every time I do it, Sometimes they're hard to catch because there's just so many of them. But I believe in you. I can tell whose isn't here because he's Johnny on the spot with those. I think he takes secret delight in pointing out my mistakes. And I appreciate it for it. All right. "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" by Clement Clarke Moore. And like I said, also known as A Visit from St. Nicholas. Oh, who's this back now? But you're distracted. All right, it's all right. It's all right. You can be distracted. It's fine. Wolf down that chipoodle or whatever you got for dinner. Hopefully you went out and got dinner. All right. "'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mamma in her kerchief, and I in my cap, had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new-fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eye should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment he must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came. He whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donder and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then, in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him, in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger on the side of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night." What I find funny, and I don't know if you caught me laughing in the middle of it, and I don't know why. I guess it's just the way my brain works. There's a part in here that incredible inappropriateness jumps into my mind. Where is it? Right here. For when he's saying all the reindeer names, and he goes, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donder and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, I don't know why every time I say from to the top of the porch to the top of the wall, I always get that song stuck in my head, like from the window to the wall, the sweat. Anyways, I don't know why. It like pops in my head and makes me want to laugh every time. Inside here, you probably shouldn't go in there, but that's not appropriate for a Christmas kid story, really, but yeah. The window, yeah, exactly. It is a good one. I love this story. It makes me smile. Outside of that reason, it makes me smile every time I read it. But it's such a good story. All right, 7:49. We can probably make it through another one. Let's see here. There's The Gift of the Magi, which is a really good story. I love that one. I love the twist ending of it. And then The Elves and the Shoemaker, though. How long was this? This one's really short, isn't it? Yeah, this one's really short. We can make it through this one before the next ad break for sure. As long as we get it going there. Oh, and Who's, I see you're keeping me up to date on the flubs there. All right, we're up to 6. That's doing pretty good, actually. It's only 6. Who's is staying sober tonight, huh? Don't worry, we'll change that. We got more stories to go. All right. That's what I should have done on the question for the channel. Instead of what's your favorite holiday dish, I should have done what's your favorite holiday story. That would have been smart, but whatever. Who says, I don't have any alcohol? Shit. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. One you can remedy, good sir. All right. Let's get into our next story. The Elves and the Shoemaker by Brothers Grimm. There once was a shoemaker who worked very hard and was very honest, but he still could not earn enough to live upon. And at last all he had in the world was gone, save just leather enough to make one pair of shoes. Then he cut his leather out, all ready to make up the next day, meaning to rise early in the morning to his work. His conscience was clear and his heart light amidst all his troubles, so he went peaceably to bed, left all his cares to heaven, and soon fell asleep. In the morning he sat himself down to his work, when, to his great wonder, there stood the shoes already made upon the table. The good man knew not what to say or think at such an odd thing happening. He looked at the workmanship. There was not one false stitch in the whole job. It was all so neat and true that it was quite a masterpiece. The same day a customer came in, and the shoes suited him so well that he willingly paid a price higher than usual for them. And the poor shoemaker, with the money, bought leather enough to make 2 pairs more. In the evening he cut out the work and went to bed early, that he might get up and begin early the next day. But he was saved all the trouble, for when he got up in the morning, the work was already done to his hand. Soon in came buyers, who paid him handsomely for his goods, so that he bought leather enough for 4 pairs more. He cut out the work again overnight, and found it done in the morning as before, and so it went on for some time. What was got ready in the evening was always done by daybreak, and the good man soon became thriving and well off again. One evening, about Christmas time, he and his wife were sitting over at the fire chatting together. He said to her, I should like to sit up and watch tonight, that we may see who it is that comes and does my work for me. The wife liked the thought, so they left a light burning and hid themselves in a corner of the room, behind a curtain that was hung up there, and watched what would happen. As soon as it was midnight, there came in 2 little naked dwarfs, and they sat themselves upon the shoemaker's bench, took up all the work that was cut out, and began to ply with their little fingers, stitching and wrapping and tapping away at such a rate that the shoemaker was all amazement, and could not take his eyes off them. And on they went till the job was quite done, and the shoes stood ready for use upon the table. This was long before daybreak, and they bustled away as quick as lightning. The next day the wife said to the shoemaker, These little wights have made us rich, and we ought to be thankful to them, and do them good in turn if we can. Quite sorry to see them run about as they do, and indeed it is not very decent, for they have nothing upon their backs to keep off the cold. I'll tell you what, I will make each of them a shirt, a coat, and a waistcoat, and a pair of pantaloons to the bargain, and you make each of them a little pair of shoes. The thought pleased the good shoemaker very much, and one evening, when all the things were ready, he laid them on the table, instead of the work that they used to cut out. And then they went and hid themselves to watch what the little elves would do. About midnight they came in, dancing and skipping, hopping around the room, and then went to sit down to their work as usual. But when they saw the clothes lying for them, they laughed and chuckled and seemed mightily delighted. Then they dressed themselves in the twinkling of an eye, and danced and capered and sprang about as merry as could be, till at last they danced out the door and away over the green. The good couple saw them no more, but everything went well for them from that time forward, and as long as they lived. There you go. And that is The Elves and the Shoemaker by Brothers Grimm, and the very loose tie into Christmas right in the middle there that I stopped and pointed out. It's a good little story, though. I like it. It's about doing good. So it's kind of the Christmas cheer, kind of do good for others kind of thing. Give presents. It's kind of fitting. It's a Christmas story, okay? It's a good one. I like it a lot. It's hard, though, I just realized, because I don't think I've done this before, where I've gone from reading a poem that has an obvious rhyming scheme into reading something, because I wanted to fall into a rhyming pattern, but words didn't rhyme. So it was very awkward. In the beginning, you're like, got to shake the rhyming thing. So don't read a rhyming poem right before you're getting into narrate a book. It's not something that's supposed to rhyme. It was odd. All right, so I think we're coming up on the hour here, and I think they do another ad here. So I might pause, go fill up the whiskey, as it were, the bourbon, and then we'll talk about the last story here, maybe get into it, and then maybe do some gaming, get some voice acting in, and try out our character live on stream. Hopefully it works. I tested it out real quick before stream, so we'll see. There might be some live troubleshooting. We'll see. And maybe we'll have my albino friend join me. Who's there? Got trapped in the rhyme. Yeah, and I did. All right, let me switch back over to the desktop real quick, and I'll be right back with you. Maybe. How do I do that? Where's the button? I haven't done this before. How do I? There it is. All right. The long walk from the booth all the way over here, you know what I mean? Ooh, I have a little bit of coffee left. As I got really excited, I almost spilled it all over myself. Classy. I have coffee all over my beard. Could be worse things. All right. Okay. Nice little pour. Woo. Ad break. I was right. I called it in 1 minute and 20 seconds. Yeah. So I think actually we only have one more story that I think I pulled out. Yeah, The Gift of the Magi, which is actually, it's a really good story. I like this one too. I like the little, the twist at the end. Yeah, this one's good. This one's definitely full of like older language for sure, like the structure of the sentences for sure, and words like thereunto, which we don't really use much now. But it's not so different that you don't understand it. There's just a lot of I guess vocabulary in here that's interesting. And I don't know, I like it in a way too, almost better than how we write now, because it almost makes it like like Shakespeare, how everything was like you had to think about it for a second, right? Like, or at least I do, like when I read or hear Shakespeare for a bit, it takes me a second to like understand exactly what's going on, because I have to process what was just said, right? Catch up to the thought, because I'm just not used to it. That's not how we speak now. And makes it interesting, because it's almost like you find something. There's that element that's missing in the discovery of what it means, right? I don't know. I find it interesting. I like reading a lot of these works that are now kind of out of the public domain, if you will, or in the public domain, rather. They're out of that copyright period. There's a lot of really good writing from back in the day. Anyways, I've been thinking about maybe doing a compilation of some of my favorite stories
of 17th and 18th century literature and like a compilation, maybe. And maybe put that up as its own public domain audiobook, or maybe do something like get that together and not put it on Audible per se, but maybe put it up on like the places that are for the seeing impaired, where they can listen to audiobooks. I can't remember what the heck the thing's called. There's a couple of them, but there's one that's like really, really famous. I can't remember the name of it. It'll come to me. I know. Probably midnight tonight. I'm, editing my audiobook. I was going to say in bed, but I'm like, I'm not going to be in bed at midnight. I'm going to be up editing for sure. Let's be real. Let's be real. This weekend, I'm going to have to pour like all day into it, at least as much of Saturday as I can. They got like family coming into town, so we'll see how that works. But Sunday I'll probably be able to get a good chunk of time in too. So at least the good thing is, I know my boss isn't listening, but in my day job, everybody's going to be on Christmas leave, so they won't be bothering me. So maybe I can get some editing done, huh? Not that I would ever do that on company time. But yeah, so that's at least the plan. It's at least the plan. I think we should be in an ad break. I do work from home, Hearthside. So how would he know? Because my productivity numbers will be in the trash. I mean, they will be anyways, because nobody to bother me, right? How would he know? Oh, the ad thing didn't come up again. Whatever. It never works out, though. That is true. Some random ass meeting will pop up. Oh, that has been, dude, this week. This week has been the king of like, oh, my schedule's clear. I can actually get some stuff done because I'm working on this other project right now, setting up this environment. And it's almost comical how often it has happened this week. Like, I think almost every day I've been like, oh, schedule's clear. And then like, boop, hey, threw a meeting in on your schedule. I don't know if you noticed that, but we'll be meeting for like 3 hours. Hopefully you're ready. Like, oh, dude. Okay, I guess I'm not getting anything done. It's one of those. So you're probably right. You're probably right. Probably get a whole bunch of ad hoc meetings that with people with similar ideas that are like, oh, he's here this week? We can get some stuff done. Let's meet all day. It's probably what's going to happen. Okay. I don't know if an ad is running or not. Sounds like a 2025 problem, right? Right? You're like, man, let me check my, yeah, I'm booked up. It says right here on my account. Let me see. Yeah, look. I write it down physically. I'm booked up. See, all that's full. There's no white space. You didn't see white space. It's full. Till next year. Sorry. Oh, bad. Can't help you. Yeah, right. Oh, while we're in the ad break here, I think still, I talked to Mike today, and he filled me in about his automation project and what's been happening since I left. Wow. That's all I'll say. I'll leave it at that. We'll talk about that later. Holy crap. That's your default response for the next 2 weeks. That's a 2025 problem. I mean, we shall talk about that soon. Oh, man. That was interesting. I also figured out, spilling the tea a little bit. Dude is apparently a multimillionaire. I didn't know that. Being good for him. It's good. makes me question a lot of things. Like, why are you working here? But yeah, we'll get into our last story here in just a second. I think there should be a way. I know my last streams were dominated by me complaining about ads. It's because I hate them that much, but it should tell me a countdown of how long they have left. Maybe it just didn't happen. They were like, oh, don't worry about it. On us. Merry Christmas. Whatever. Arsa said, I make 1 mil, and that's it. Although, I'd still narrate, I think. Okay. But I'd not be working a J job again for sure. Right? I would not be working it. I'd have to do something. Like I'd go stir crazy. Like I couldn't just like, go travel the world. Yeah, but that would get like boring after a while, right? Like there's a lot of places I want to see. Don't get me wrong, and I travel on my vacation time a lot because I like to experience different cultures and see different places. But if I had nothing else to do on the in between time, that would get old. And I think after traveling for a little while, that would get old, and you want to like come back and just be at home, right? I'm a homebody. I like being at home, and yeah. Oh, my wife and I had this interesting idea at one point. If she took like, if we didn't live where we were right now because we're kind of caregivers for her parents and great grandma who's 95. But anyways, if we didn't have that situation, we thought about like she's a nurse, she could take a traveling nurse position, and I can pretty much work from wherever as long as I have an internet connection for the most part, right? And we'd homeschool little dude, just get like an RV or something, travel the United States and like do homeschooling that way. Because how badass would that be to be like a kid and be like, hey, today we're going to learn about the Liberty Bell. And you know what? We're going to go see it. Like, how awesome would that be? Let's talk today about the Battle of Gettysburg while going there. You know what I mean? Like, that would be amazing. Think about like the educational stuff there. And don't get me wrong, I would geek out about it too. But it would be a little bit for me. But that would be, I think, would be the dream. But that'd be really cool. Who says, could I come? Right? Doesn't that sound cool? I'm a homebody too. Yeah, I like home. I like staying home. I like going out and, hanging out with friends and stuff too. Especially right now, I've spent way too much time at home. I'm itching to, leave. But I like home. You could buy a really inexpensive house in Japan and make another home. With enough money, you could come up with some creative solutions. So you're not wrong. Your home could be in several different locations, right? Throughout the world. And then you could just like pit stop, plan it out. You know what I mean? Do like a whole like plan out trip, and like brain's spinning already, and I'm derailing off of the topic of the stream, but we're just reading. I think the ads are over. I can't tell. I really have to like, okay, here's an ad manager thing. Hold on, let me click on this real quick. I have ads manager. That is selected. But it doesn't show me that anywhere. I hate this. Pop out ads manager. There we go. Boom, there we go. Okay. This gives me more info. I wish I would have found this before. Snooze 3 of 3. Okay, so I can snooze him here. Run 1 minute and 30-second ad for what? Running 1 minute 30-second mana to remove the upcoming auto ad. Oh, okay, so I could run it now to... Let's try that. I think I tried this before and it didn't work, but let me see. If I run a 1 minute and 30-second ad now, it is telling me I can skip the auto ad coming up, which I thought we hit already, but apparently we didn't. So let's try that and see if we're back in a minute and 30, and then get back to reading, okay? Here we go. Did that work? Pre-roll ads are disabled for 55 minutes. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, hopefully that worked. If you have Twitch Turbo, like I do, or if you are a subscriber, thank you very much. You are not seeing the ads right now, so you're not going to see them anyways. But at least this way, it disables it for anybody that's coming into the stream. They don't have to wait through a couple of ads before they can see what's going on. I know that's stupid annoying. So anyways, hopefully we can bypass that and get out of that whole mess. And then we have another 45 minutes, I think, by the timeline, if I'm looking at it right, to before we have any more stupid ads. So there we go. Yeah. Should have saved the discussion about, dreaming if you had all the money in the world, what you'd do till now. But yeah, I'd still do audiobooks. I do a lot more audiobooks because then I'd have all day, right? I just voice act and do audiobooks. It's probably what I do for a long, 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 long time. Because it's like twofold. I think it's one of those things that's like, it's a lot more work than just reading, right? It's way more involved than that. But at the same time, it does scratch that itch to read. Like I like reading books, but it's hard to find time to do it. And then in this case, because you're paid to do it, you have to read, right? It changes that a little bit, but it's still fun for me. Like I like reading more stories, and I really want to get into more maybe nonfiction, because like especially like historical stuff like World War II or whatever, like that'd be really cool. All right, I think the ad break is over and you all should be back now. Apologize for the ads, and hopefully we don't have them for another 45 minutes. So let's get into our next story, which is The Gift of the Magi by O. Henry. So I will send it over to the booth, and I will meet you there, drink in hand.
Oh boy, here we are.
Coming back.
Yeah. Whew. All right. The Gift of the Magi. Now, a quick quiz for anybody who hasn't read this story. Do you know who the Magi are that it's referring to? Think of Christmas. Give you another hint. Think biblical. And here we go. Maybe. Where's my mouse? There it is. All right. The Gift of the Magi by O. Henry. $1.87. That was all. And 60 cents of it was in pennies. Penny saved 1 and 2 at a time by bulldozing the grocer and the vegetable man and the butcher until one's cheeks burned with the silent imputation of parsimony that such close dealing implied. Close dealing implied. Let's try that again. All from the start. I'm going to give myself a flub there, like 3 times. Here we go. We're reading, Justin. Let's get into it. Yay! Until one's cheeks burned with the silent imputation of parsimony that such close dealing implied. 3 times Della counted it. $1.87. And the next day would be Christmas. There was clearly nothing to do but flop down on the shabby little couch and howl. So Della did it, which instigates the moral reflection that life is made up of sobs, sniffles, and smiles, with sniffles predominating. While the mistress of the home is gradually subsiding from the first stage to the second, take a look at the home. A furnished flat at $8 per week. It did not exactly beg a description, but it certainly had that word on the lookout for the... What is that word? Mendicancy? Mendicancy. Oh, okay. I think I know it. I see what it's saying. But certainly it had that word on the lookout for the mendicancy squad. I see what that means. Got it. $8 per week? I wish. I mean, that was probably a lot of money back in this time, but only $8 per week? I buy my own hotel. All right. In the vestibule below was a letterbox, into which no letter would go, and an electric button from which no moral finger could coax a ring. Also appertaining thereunto was a card bearing the name Mr. James Dillingham Young. The Dillingham had been flung into the breeze during a former period of prosperity when its possessor was being paid $30 a week. Now, when the income was shrunk to $20, the letters of Dillingham looked blurred, as though they were thinking seriously of contracting to a modest and unassuming D. But whenever Mr. James Dillingham Young came home and reached his flat above, he was called Jim, and greatly hugged by Mrs. James Dillingham Young, already introduced to you as Della, which is all very good. Della finished her cry and attended to her cheeks with a powder rag. She stood by the window and looked out dully at a gray cat walking a gray fence in a gray backyard. Tomorrow would be Christmas Day, and she had only $1.87 with which to buy Jim a present. She had been saving every penny she could for months with this result. $20 a week doesn't go far. Expenses had been greater than she had calculated. They always are. Only $1.87 to buy a present for Jim, her Jim. Many a happy hour she had spent planning for something nice for him, something fine and rare and sterling, something just a little bit near to being worthy of the honor of being owned by Jim. There was a pier glass between the windows of the room. Perhaps you have seen a pier glass in an $8 flat. A very thin and very agile person may, by observing his reflection in a rapid sequence of longitudinal strips, obtain a fairly accurate conception of his looks. Della, being slender, had mastered the art. Suddenly she whirled from the window and stood before the glass. Her eyes were shining brilliantly, but her face had lost its color within 20 seconds. Rapidly, she pulled down her hair and let it fall to its full length. Now, there were two possessions of the James Dillingham Youngs in which they both took a mighty pride. One was Jim's gold watch that had been his father's and his grandfather's. The other was Della's hair. Had the Queen of Sheba lived in the flat across the air shaft, Della would have let her hair hang out the window some day, to dry, just to depreciate Her Majesty's jewels and gifts. Had King Solomon been the janitor, with all his treasures piled up in the basement, Jim would have pulled out his watch every time he passed, just to see him pluck at his beard from envy. So now Della's beautiful hair fell about her, rippling and shining like a cascade of brown waters. It reached down below her knee and made itself almost a garment for her. And then she did it up again nervously and quickly. Once she faltered for a moment and stood still while a tear or two splashed the worn red carpet. On went her old brown jacket. On went her old brown hat. With a whirl of skirts and with a brilliant sparkle still in her eyes, she fluttered out the door and down the stairs to the street. Where she stopped, the sign read, Madame Sofronie, hair goods of all kinds. One flight up, Della ran and collected herself, panting. Madame, large, too white, chilly, hardly looking like the Sofronie. "Will you buy my hair?" asked Della. "I buy hair," said Madame. "Take your hat off and let's have a sight at the looks of it." Down rippled the brown cascade. $20, said Madame, lifting the mass with a practiced hand. "Give it to me quick," said Della. Oh, and the next 2 hours tripped on by rosy wings. Forget the hashed metaphor, she was ransacking the stores for Jim's present. She found it at last. It surely had been made for Jim and no one else. There was no other like it in any of the stores, and she had turned all of them inside out. It was a platinum fob chain, simple, chaste in design, properly proclaiming its value by substance alone and not by matriculous ornamentation. I said that wrong. That's not matriculous. Meretricious, sorry. Meretricious ornamentation. Meretricious. So it's like showy but not valuable. Meretricious, got it. See, old verbiage. As all good things should do. It was even worthy of the watch. As soon as she saw it, she knew that it must be Jim's. It was like him. Quietness and value. The description applied to both. $21 they took from her for it, and she hurried home with the 87 cents. With that chain on his watch, Jim might be properly anxious about the time in any company. Grand as the watch was, he sometimes looked at it on the sly, on account of the old leather strap that he used in place of a chain. When Della reached home, her intoxication gave way little to prudence and reason. She got out her curling irons and lighted the gas and went to work repairing the ravages made by generosity added to love, which is always a tremendous task, dear friends, a mammoth task. Within 40 minutes, her head was covered with tiny, close-lying curls that made her look wonderfully like a truant schoolboy. She looked at her reflection in the mirror, long, carefully, and critically. "If Jim doesn't kill me," she said to herself, "before he takes a second look at me, he'll say I look like a Coney Island chorus girl. But what could I do? Oh, what could I do with $1.87? At 7 o'clock, the coffee was made, and the frying pan was on the back of the stove, hot and ready to cook the chops. Jim was never late. Della doubled the fob chain around her hand and sat in the corner of the table near the door that he always entered. Then she heard his step on the stairway, down on the first flight, and she turned white for just a moment. She had a habit for saying little silent prayers about the simplest everyday things, and now she whispered, "Please, God, make him think I'm still pretty." The door opened and Jim stepped in and closed it. He looked thin and very serious. Poor fellow. He was only 22, and to be burdened with a family. He needed a new overcoat, and he was without gloves. Jim stopped inside the door, as immovable as a setter on the scent of a quail. His eyes were fixed upon Della, and there was an expression in them that she could not read, and it terrified her. It was not anger, nor surprise, nor disapproval, nor horror, nor any of the sentiments that she had been prepared for. He simply stared at her, fixedly, with that peculiar expression on his face. Della wriggled off the table and went for him. "Jim, darling," she cried, "don't look at me that way. I had my hair cut off and sold because I couldn't have lived through another Christmas without giving you a present. It'll grow out again. You won't mind, will you? I just had to do it. My hair grows awfully fast. Say Merry Christmas, Jim, and let's be happy. You don't know what a beautiful, nice gift I've got for you." "You've cut off your hair?" asked Jim laboriously, as if he had not arrived at that patent fact yet even after the hardest mental labor. "Cut it off and sold it," said Della. "Don't you like me just as well, anyhow? I'm me without my hair, ain't I?" Jim looked about the room curiously. You say your hair is gone?" he said, with an air almost of idiocy. "You needn't look for it," said Della. "It's sold, I tell you, sold and gone, too. It's Christmas Eve, boy. Be good to me, for it went to you. Maybe the hairs of my head were numbered," she went on with sudden serious sweetness. "But nobody could ever count my love for you. Shall I put the chops on, Jim?" Out of his trance, Jim seemed quickly to wake. He enfolded his Della. For 10 seconds, let us regard with discreet scrutiny some inconsequential object in the other direction. $8 a week for $1 million a year. $8 a week or $1 million a year. What is the difference? A mathematician or wit would give you the wrong answer. The Magi brought valuable gifts, but that was not among them. And then Jim drew a package from his overcoat pocket and threw it upon the table. "Don't make any mistake, Del," he said, "about me. I don't think there's anything in the way of a haircut or a shave or a shampoo that could make me like my girl any less. But if you'll unwrap that package, you may see why you had me going a while at first." White fingers and nimble tore at the string and paper, and then a static scream of joy, and then, alas, a quick feminine change to hysterical tears and wails, necessitating the immediate employment of all the comforting powers of the Lord of the Flat. For there lay the combs, the set of combs, side and back, that Della had worshipped long in a Broadway window. Beautiful combs, pure tortoiseshell with jeweled rims, just the shade to wear in the beautiful vanished hair. They were expensive combs, she knew, and her heart simply craved and yearned over them without the least hope of possession. And now they were hers, but in the tresses that should have adorned the coveted adornments were gone. But the tresses that should have adorned the coveted ornaments were gone. Adornments were gone. I can't say that word. Adornments. It's an easy one. So did you catch what happened? It's pretty funny. But it gets better. Gone. But she hugged them to her bosom, and at the length she was able to look up with dim eyes and smile and say, "My hair grows so fast, Jim." And then Della leaped up like a little singed cat and cried, "Oh, oh!" Jim had not yet seen his beautiful present. She held it out to him eagerly upon her open palm. The dull, precious metal seemed to flash with a reflection of her bright and ardent spirit. "Isn't it dandy, Jim? I hunted all over town to find it. You'll have to look at the time 100 times a day now. Give me your watch. I want to see how it looks on it." Instead of obeying, Jim tumbled down on the couch and put his hands under the back of his head and smiled. "Dell," he said, "let's put our Christmas presents away and keep 'em a while. They're too nice to use just at present. I sold the watch to get money to buy your combs, and now suppose you put the chops on." The Magi, as you know, were wise men, wonderfully wise men, who brought gifts to the babe in the manger. They invented the art of giving Christmas presents. Being wise, their gifts were no doubt wise ones, possibly bearing the privilege of exchange in case of duplication. And here I have lamely related to you the uneventful chronicle of two foolish children in a flat who most unwisely sacrificed for each other in their greatest treasures of the house. But in a last word to the wise of these days, let it be said that all who give gifts, these two were the wisest. They are the Magi. I thought it was good. It's a cute little story. I like the twist at the end. Of all those who give gifts. Yes. But wait, there's more. So good. I know. So they, if you didn't catch it, as I was stumbling through it, the wife bought a, not a like a lanyard, a little thing to attach to your watch so you can keep it in your pocket, I guess, for the husband, because he has a really nice watch. And then he bought her combs for her long hair, but she shaved off her hair to buy him the little lanyard for the watch, and he sold the watch to buy the combs. So, yep, pretty good. Gotta love it. But man, $8 for a flat? That's crazy. That's crazy times. And imagine your weekly wage being like really good if it was $30 a week. That's nuts. That's nuts. I remember, so right now, me and the wife are caregivers, like I was saying before, for her parents and her mom's mom, who's like 96. Yeah, 96, I think. 94, 96. 96. And I talked to her ever so often about like how it was back in the day, right? I mean, like, if you think about it, back when she was a kid to how it is nowadays, what the drastic difference would be, right? Like almost 100 years ago is when she was born, right? Like, what did the world look like then as to now? And it's interesting. I've learned like a lot of like really weird off the wall things, which like suits to my nature. I love like learning little weird off the wall things. I don't know if you remember when Snapple cap facts were a thing, right? Like, like, you could open up a Snapple and then look on the back and it would be like, in your lifetime, you eat 8 insects, stuff like that. And they would just stick with me because it was weird and interesting. So I seem to remember those type of things whenever we talk about the old days, with grandma there. But one thing that stands out to me, and it kind of makes sense that like everything kind of comes full circle with it in a little bit. Let's switch back to the desktop and talk in there because it's really hot in here. Let's I'll continue the story over there. Yeah, maybe. To everyone here, how much did you make at your first job per hour? Oof, that is a good question. Let's see, what was my first job? I guess like first job from an actual like corporation, because I used to like help out at a martial arts studio on the weekend, and he paid me for it, but like it wasn't really a job. My first job, I think, was at was that Target? Yeah, Target. And I did not make I don't even remember how much I made. I know it wasn't much. I remember I was stoked the first time I got my first paycheck, though. I was like, oh, it's over $100. I'm rich. I blew that so fast. The next subsequent checks, I blew incredibly fast. Like more than $100 in a 16-year-old's hands is just. And then you fill up your gas tank once, and you're like, I gotta keep going back to work to repeat this. $5.15 for me. Yeah, that was probably right around what it was. I was gonna guess like $5. That sounds pretty close. Pretty close. Even when I started working for the company that I work for now, like that position makes way more. And not because it's just gone up, because basically inflation. Try to keep up with wages, right? To attract people to come work at your place. So, but anyways, back to the story. So I was talking to her one day about something, and she made a reference to, I think it was like ironing or something. Like some comment was made about like I had an iron shirt on or something. I don't know. But she was saying like, oh, like we used to use what was it? Oh, I can't remember the name of it. But basically they used to iron their not their sheets, their sheets too, but their curtains. And there's a contraption they made that I looked it up online, and I found one at a picture of one in an antique shop that they were selling. But it's this big wooden frame, and it kind of looks like a giant easel with like scalloped teeth at the bottom that they'd clamp together and straighten out their curtains, and they would wash them and then iron them and put them back up. And they would basically do this every springtime, spring cleaning, if you will. That was part of one of their tasks that they would do. And they would have to clean the curtains and wash them off and iron them, because the way that they heated their homes back in the day was with a wood stove, and it would leave soot everywhere, and that would get all over your drapes. So you had to wash them, but it really wasn't practical to wash them all the time. So you'd wash them every spring, henceforth spring cleaning, because it wasn't practical to do a lot of those things except for one time of year, I guess. But they had like this, no kidding, like easel type contraption that they would clamp their freshly washed curtains down with, and no kidding, iron them, which I thought like, okay, that's different. That's different. Never even heard of that. Oil burning lamps probably left a residue as well. Yeah, probably. I would imagine, because that oil does give off a little bit. Like I have even like kerosene burns pretty quickly, but I have like a couple of kerosene lamps for like when we go camping or whatever, and even those leave a little bit of residue around, and that's probably fairly clean burning compared to probably what they were using during that time. But just a blast to the past, right? Like I was before TV, all that kind of stuff, right? Like she saw like the technology just from back in the day, from like the 30s. So I think she was born in 29. So, or right around there. I don't know if I did that math right, but anyways, just think about the technology change from there, like then to now, right? Like there's a reason grandma has no clue where to even start with a computer. You know what I mean? She was telling me a story one day of the first time they got computers for their cash registers when she used to work at a retail store. I think
I want to say Kohl's or JCPenney, one of those. And how, everybody had to be trained, and, nobody really liked it. And like the older generation of clerks that were there were just like, "Meh," I could do this, myself. And like the hesitancy to switch over to the new technology of a cash register. Like, okay, all right. The cash registers nowadays are completely different, like touch screen and, crazy stuff. Sometimes I think about how much has changed in 100 years, and it's baffling, especially when you consider how similar the prior 100 years were before that. Yeah, exactly. And it seems like it's just, I don't know, I guess for a certain perspective, maybe it seems stagnant, but at least right now, it seems like technology is like doubling, right? Like we have the AI taking off right now, and that's gaining more and more and more capability. And that seems like it's every month you're turning around and it's able to create something that you're like, whoa, Skynet, like when's the Terminator coming kind of deal. And just, I don't know, it brings to mind to me like all the different stuff that, what are we going to see here in the next 10, 15 years, right? I'm still waiting on my flying car, okay? I saw it in Back to the Future. They said everybody would have flying cars by now. I want my flying car. I mean, I guess they technically have them, but it's not ubiquitous. I want my flying cars. Although that does scare me because of how bad people drive now. Give them a car that flies. Never mind, maybe I don't want that. I take that back. I found an old suitcase from my great-grandfather in which he had handwritten the amount of tobacco he had harvested for sale. Holy crap. I like to imagine what his life was like compared to mine at the same age. No kidding. Probably a little harder. I guarantee he was much thinner than me. Yeah, true. I mean, there's a reason why they could get home and, eat like a box of donuts, and it'd be okay. It's because they just worked on the railroad all day, like there's a little bit difference in, in lifestyle back then. Yep, that is true. That is true. Man, I remember we the first house that we bought, it was when I was in the military. We were in Oklahoma, and we bought a house. And I guess in the area, like the 4 houses that were closest to each other in our neighborhood, at one point, all that land was owned by one family. And in our garage, in one of the drawers, I found like some old newspapers, but I found a document that I guess was a copy of the previous owner to the house, his like request form to get basically payment for his service from the American Indian Wars. It was quite old. It was a quite old piece of paper, but I remember like finding that and being like, whoa, how old is this thing? Like American Indian Wars. That was a while ago. That was a while ago. And his granddaughter was the previous owner before we bought it. So I guess he like sold it to them or gave it to them, whatever. And then we ended up buying it when we moved there. But being like, whoa, it was built in like the 50s, super old house. It was an interesting one. So anyways, yeah, old stuff. Old stuff's cool, right? My soft hands, no calluses. I work in IT during the day, so I'm right there with you, bub. IT during the day and audiobooks at night. So it's just, they've got to be rough enough to turn those page, well, not even page, I just got to swipe on the smooth LED screen of the iPad to read my next page. As smooth as they can be. As smooth as they can be. All right. I think that marks the end of all of our stories for this evening. So we'll be transitioning into, let's have some fun, do some gameplay, get some Grand Theft Auto roleplay on, where we're going to play the character Johnny Dent, who is a Russian with a very American name. And then if my buddy Who's is going to join us here, he plays a character by the name of Ivan, a very Russian name, Yakinov. Yeah, you know what he was doing. But he's American, so I call him my albino friend. You'll probably pick up why when we jump into the game. And we're just going to get up to some trouble, probably. Right now, so far, we've jumped into a fairly new server. And so the economy's kind of wonky, but there's lots of mayhem to be had. So that's probably what we're going to be getting up to tonight. We've been working for a gas station as kind of a front to make money to start our nefarious dealings, probably. So we'll see. We'll see where we go with it, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. And yeah, we're just going to jump into that. So I'm going to fire up some stuff here, and I'll probably just put you guys on a quick little musical break interlude while I switch everything over so you don't have to stare at me open mouth breathing while I'm setting some stuff up. At least you have something to listen to, right? So we'll jump over to that here real quick, play you some tunes, then I'll be back pretty quickly. I'm just going to jump into the game here and get that all kind of set up and ready to go. So I will be right back now. Oh, and if you're on YouTube, thanks for watching. I'll probably have this live stream up later for you to watch as a podcast.